Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Beau is Afraid. This is the new cinema-going event from Ari Aster. This is an epic psychological odyssey about Joaquin Phoenix trying to get to his mother's home, and he's very afraid of everything, which is not a spoiler because that is the title. The reactions have been very polarizing, and as someone who liked Midsommar, not loved, but really liked Hereditary, I was like, I don't know where I stand on this, I don't know if I'm an Ari Aster stan. I don't know if that's part of my identity or not. I actually feel like we're still discovering his voice and what he has to offer, but I was just really pumped and excited to see what he wants to bring to the screen. I want to see why he's making a 3-hour movie. I want to know what it's like when he deviates away from the horror genre a little bit, which he does in every one of his movies. They're not strictly horror. And it's also just amazing to see a director with a proven track record and an ability to get people into a theater just from his name alone as a creator, to see them be given such a massive opportunity and a budget to do a story that is so out there, so audacious. And I really think this paid off. I think this was great. Even when the film ended, I was like, I definitely liked it a lot. But I don't know if I really liked it. Piecing it together and talking with you and another friend, me, all of us, we all really liked it. It was actually, thanks to me, kind of easy to put together a main idea for why this film works. That's the thing I was worried about, if I try to piece this together a little bit, is it gonna fall apart? And no, it just felt like it came together even more for me. We will see it again, we will do a spoiler discussion, but I'm gonna try to keep it as spoiler dry as possible. I did go in with lowered expectations because a lot of the reviews are very mixed, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna pretend I'm definitely gonna be on the loving it side of this movie. And maybe that was a good thing, because when I did feel a little bit lost or a little bit I am not really sure about what is happening right now, I was kind of able to just accept that I was feeling that way and keep going forward. Yeah. It's easily a movie where at times you will probably feel lost over the course of 3 hours. Some scenes are just not going to work for you, especially when the film is just aiming really high all of the time. But for me, that trade-off of sometimes feeling a little bit lost was just so worth having for a movie that is just taking you in so many crazy directions, and for a movie that's so imaginative and creative and bold, shooting for the stars, really. Overall, this was such a memorable experience. Even the trailer does not prepare you for the directions that this movie goes in. Not nearly. And I thought the trailer looked nuts. This is one of the most nuts fucking movies. Some people are comparing it to Mother in this regard, or I'm thinking of ending things. I don't disagree that it's as nuts as
or
those
even
movies.
Synecdoche, New York. Maybe not as deep of a movie or as about life, but it is that level of abstract, where it's just so deeply psychological that in the beginning you might be playing a little game with yourself, oh, what might be real, what might be fake, but in the end I'm that's not really a question for me, and that's why I really like the movie. I like that it lives in a place that is not reality, and there's not a concrete way to understand the film. I never felt the air was taken out of the movie and then suddenly we know what this is supposed to be. I understand the movie at a deep level, but I don't understand every little detail, and that's why it's so sunken into my brain and makes me want to juice it out even more, because there's so many details. Maybe I'll find more nuggets in there, maybe I won't. I'm not sure. I have to watch it again. And we're gonna do an analysis on it when we do watch it again. And I'm excited to do that. I love a movie that gets me excited about watching it again, like The Green Knight, or, I'm thinking of ending things. Something like that that's really ambitious, leaves me feeling enthralled, and leaves me going, oh, the movies. But maybe I don't completely understand it until I dive in a second time. This is a movie that I'm more than willing to give another 3 hours of my life to. One way to put what you're saying about how abstract the movie is that it just uses dream logic or nightmare logic. The entire movie does feel like a nightmare. This is about a character who's trying to get to his mother's house, and he just keeps getting pulled back by insane forces that make no sense. I've had dreams like this where I'm trying to get to class, I have to be somewhere on time, and I just can't. Just not working.
There's just all these obstacles that oh, I left this thing here, or the door's locked. It really felt like that.
Yeah,
come to life.
It's how in a horror movie something bad's happening to a character and you're why can't you just do this? It got to the point where I was if you try that, it won't work. And I don't even know why, but it's just not gonna fucking work for you because nothing does. I also kind of dread that there might be some Beau is Afraid explained videos, it's not gonna be ours, of course, that are here are two buckets. One is what really happened, and one is in his head. Right. And they're just gonna try to sort things into those. That's just not
how this movie's gonna work.
I still think there's a possibility that it wants you to read it that way, but I think it's unlikely. It could manifest in the second viewing.
It's a little bit true that that's kind of how it works, but even like just down to like the way that the NPCs in Beau's neighborhood act, that's a psychological manifestation of a guy who thinks that everybody's out to get him and kill him, but it's also not in his head. Like, that is the reality of the world. Like, at the baseline, the reality of the world is still very, very strange.
But I think by the end, it slips away further and further.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but I think we're going too deep. Or I think we're going too deep. You know, just trying to recommend the movie or not.
We could
keep going.
I'm not going to keep
what's fun about the movie is that we could just keep going with this shit, but we won't for you. I also think why even in the moments when I feel like the film could be getting away from me, it didn't, is because it lets me stay in the scene and stay in what it's doing for long enough that I just accept it. There's one really long, like, kind of animated sequence that at first I was like, I don't really know where this is going or what it's doing, but it kept me there so long that I just became a little bit more patient with it. I found like it sort of hypnotized me, and then it was like, no, we're letting you stay here actually because like there's this moment that we're gonna find in the end that might make sense, and it does come back to the character now. And I was like, hell yeah. So I didn't really have the experience that some other people did where they like just get completely lost. Even though it was very long, I was glad to have every minute of this film because it felt like it moves at its own pace. It felt like it wasn't trying to be like any other movie, and just the argument that it could be tidied up or tightened into 2 hours and more succinct kind of makes me want to puke. Like, it kind of makes me want to throw up. I needed this film to be different. I needed it to transport me completely into a different world and just let my brain get lost in its psychology and its subjectivity. And really, you know, I felt like I was tripping for half the movie. This movie is an incredible transporting experience. It is visceral. There are lots of POV shots where you are almost Beau and you're moving through this place that is like a land of Oz that you're just unfamiliar with, like a horrible haunted land of Oz. And I was like, this is so worth the price of admission to be transported like this.
Also,
I mean, just no amusement park ride could do that to me. Like, even going to Disney, you know, like their crazy, very intricate and mind-boggling like light shows and like cartoon characters, like this actually did more for me than even one of those rides would.
I didn't have a grasp of where I was within the 3 hours. Like, that's also what's trippy about it, is like how fucking long the movie is too. It really just took me even deeper and deeper into itself. Like, I liked being just swallowed by it and then figuring out that there's another mouth inside of it that's going to swallow me again. The other thing we need to mention about this movie is that it's really funny. That's the thing I don't understand about people who think that it's the worst movie they've ever seen. At the very least, the movie was so goddamn funny. Like, the comedy was so good. Like, how did you not see that at least?
First when it wanted to be funny, like, sometimes it was fucking hilarious.
The first hour was like pure comedy bliss. Dark comedy, absurd comedy, like you're just laughing at the absurdity of Beau's world, and like,
you're almost
like
laughing
people
because
dying
you don't know if you should laugh too. Kind of a cathartic laugh that's needed because everything is so fucking absurd.
I was just like, woo, woo!
It was like a really good time.
It was just so, it was just so surreal, and you laugh at his misfortune a lot, you laugh at like just dead people a lot, and I love a movie that allows you to laugh at these terrible things. Midsummer was funny, and that's where I discovered like, oh, Ari Aster has a really good sense of humor that like I can get down with. Kind of in the same way that like Paul Thomas Anderson has a really good sense of humor.
I think it was unleashed here in a new way.
It was completely unleashed here. Also, just the movie as a whole is very funny. Even if you go through a scene and you're like not laughing, like when the scene ends, you might just be like, that was funny. Like,
I kind of want to laugh at the movie itself. Like, the movie itself is funny. It's a very, very dark, bleak joke almost.
Part of me wondered if sometimes it was too bleak and cruel, especially just like towards the main character. Like, he is quite tortured. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I wouldn't really have it another way. And Joaquin Phoenix, the movie puts him through a lot, and it asks for a lot of him. It will hold on him for like a minute where he's just supposed to be confused and terrified, and that's a challenge for him to be able to convey that so often and just, you know, give it a little bit of a slightly different meaning every time, and I think that he does nail it.
All the actors in the film, it's like actually a really good ensemble. There's a lot of really good supporting performances. Everybody is playing with like really interesting and deep emotions in scenes that like otherwise are kind of weird to understand.
The standout here is Patti LuPone. I'll just say that she kind of steals the show at some point.
And I think actually my favorite moment in the movie was not any of the trippy sequences, but One where the camera just slowly pushes in on Joaquin Phoenix while he's calling his mom, and you can just see like the sheer desperation in his eyes. That bit of performance was brilliant to me. I felt like I sank completely into Beau's like desperation and fear. You know, I think that's what Joaquin Phoenix brings, is like the ability to actually see Beau as a genuinely like tortured person instead of just seeing him as a cruel subject of like a filmmaker's, you know, joke.
This movie's also really goddamn well crafted. The production design is stellar. The way that it takes you through like these completely different environments, and each of them feels surreal in its own way. Like in the beginning, in the city that he lives in, like just that world is amazing. There are also a lot of really great hilarious details like within the production design.
Yeah, like any poster, billboard, name of a shop has a little bit of detail in it, and it might even go a layer deeper. And there were some props that in and of themselves just made me laugh, that were just fucking hilarious. And also the architecture of a home in like the last third is just incredible. And I don't know if they found like the perfect home to shoot this in, or if they redid parts of a home to make it make sense, or if they built a lot of this home. The architecture was so engaging on a level of like, I understand how it relates to Beau's psyche.
I also really love the sound design in the movie. There is that animated sequence that you were talking about where there's just a softly pulsating bass throughout that's just kind of hypnotizing you. I don't even know if that was maybe the score or not. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, given the composer. The score is also very good. It's more just like kind of light touches here and there.
Yeah, I think it's actually in a lot of the film, but it's very ambient. It's just blending in. Like there's no center theme, but that really works for the movie. It also kind of does become part of the sound design, which makes sense because the Hacks and Cloak did it. I would highly recommend this movie to everybody, despite knowing that it's sort of divisive, because I think it would be fun for people to experience at the very least. Like, yeah, maybe that's a little long for them, but I think it's worthwhile. Like, you should go see it just because it's out there. It's something that you haven't experienced. You know, you could go see a movie that you've seen before, but it's a little different this time, like just a different iteration of another story. Or you could see this and it's completely different. You have not seen this before. You know, why would you not choose that every time? Why would you not? I love a big feast and a meal like this. This was just like, it just stuffed me.
Movies like this just do not come around this often, whether it's just like unwillingness to give somebody the creative freedom to make this or the budget to make this. I mean, you get like 1 or 2 or 0 of these kind of big budget swings a year.
Sometimes you get them though, and they're just not, they don't really work.
White Noise for some people was not totally working.
And Bardo was a huge swing that I think it went wrong in a couple of ways, but it was also like still really interesting.
But even that, like, I want to see those movies so bad.
I do have a couple like criticisms though. Someone who doesn't like the movie because it was like kind of sledgehammering you with like the point or like what the movie is really about. I understand that. I think that's like pretty valid, especially in the last act when really you wanted to do all of this for just saying this. I can see people saying it was both confounding and obvious. That's the interesting thing about it.
I felt like that a little bit, but I also think that before I kind of dismiss the movie for like saying the same thing but just in a ridiculously
in different
loud
ways.
way, like, which is kind of what it does. But before I really make that declaration, I would want to watch it again, because maybe the details really do create something that I will find very juicy and very fulfilling.
Even though it's saying what it's saying like with a megaphone and then like a microphone at the end of the megaphone, I still like what it's doing because I feel like it's so deeply about that thing. That's why I like it.
I also wouldn't say that this movie was like Synecdoche, New York, Tree of Life level, like, you know, emotional, life-affirming type of experience. No. It's a little bit cold for me at the end of the day in some ways.
Yeah, it kind of left me like, at the end I was like, raising my eyebrows. Like, well, you know, instead of like, oh, I'm a wreck or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna like leave you in tears, but there were some moments that I did think were like starting to get there, like starting to unlock some real heart.
I would give this a 9 out of 10. Could go up to a 10, could go down to an 8 when I watch it again, but it's a very special movie.
I also give the movie a 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
What are you afraid is gonna happen to you when you leave your house?